A simple cake delivery. CEO's secret. But what happens when the delivery girl realizes she's carrying more than just a cake? She's carrying the CEO's child. A story of betrayal, shocking twists, and a fight for survival unfolds in the most unexpected way. What happens when everything you thought you knew crumbles before your eyes? Watch till the end to uncover the deadly secret and the chilling truth that no one saw coming. Rain tapped gently on the windows of the towering glass building. Inside, the lobby smelled of polished marble and fresh orchids. The lights were bright, sterile, humming with cold efficiency. Claire adjusted her delivery bag, brushing water from her damp bangs. The box in her hands was delicate. Chocolate mousse, gold flakes, raspberry glaze. For the CEO himself. She stepped into the elevator. Mirrored walls reflected her face. Ill. Nervous. One hand slowly moved to her stomach. It was barely showing, yet she felt the weight. Not just of the child, but of the truth. Floor 32. The doors opened with a soft chime. A corridor stretched ahead, silent, lined with abstract paintings. She walked slowly. Each step echoed in her ears. The receptionist gave her a stiff smile. "You can go in. He is expecting it." The office was enormous. Windows stretched from floor to ceiling. Rain blurred the city skyline. He sat behind a dark oak desk. Sharp suit. Sharper eyes. His name was Ethan Vale. The kind of man who never forgot a detail. And never forgave a mistake. Claire placed the cake on the table. He looked up. His gaze flicked from the box to her face. Then down to her hand. Resting on her stomach. Silence stretched between them. Cold. Unforgiving. His voice broke it. Low. Controlled. "You should not be here." Her throat felt tight. But she stood firm. "You need to know." A flicker crossed his face. Not surprise. Not anger. Something else. Recognition. She opened the cake box slowly. Inside, a small card sat beneath the lid. In neat handwriting. "Congratulations, Daddy." His fingers curled slightly on the desk. Jaw tightened. The rain outside grew heavier. The sound of it seemed to fill the room. He stood. Walked around the desk. His shoes silent on the thick carpet. Stopped in front of her. Too close. She could smell his cologne. Sandalwood. Smoke. Power. "You are making a mistake," he said. Her voice trembled. But it held. "No. I made a choice." He stared at her. Eyes unreadable. Then he smiled. It was not warm. Not kind. Just calculated. "I already knew," he whispered. The floor felt like it shifted beneath her. Air rushed from her lungs. Her heart pounded in her ears. She tried to speak. But he raised a hand. "You were never supposed to come back." The door behind her clicked. Her hands shook. The rain swallowed the city. And the room grew colder. She turned slowly. Someone stood by the window. Watching. Face hidden in shadow. But she recognized the shape. The same woman who handed her the delivery bag this morning. She was not from the bakery. She was never from the bakery. Claire's stomach twisted. Not from fear. From realization. This had never been a delivery. It was a setup. And the cake. It was not for celebration. It was a warning. The man by the desk stepped closer. His voice was velvet. Laced with threat. "You should have read the card more carefully." Claire turned back to the lid. The message had changed. Same handwriting. Different words. "There is no escape." Her breath caught. Her pulse thundered. He leaned in. And whispered. "You thought the baby made you safe?" Her fingers tightened around the cake box. And she took one step back. Her heel bumped the edge of the rug. Slight shift. But enough to feel the imbalance. She steadied herself. Eyes locked on his. Every instinct screamed to run. But the door was locked. And the woman by the window. She had not moved. Still watching. Silent. Like a statue carved from shadow. Claire's breath turned shallow. Her throat dry as dust. "You planned this," she said. He gave a small nod. Like a teacher confirming a child's answer. You were never going to leave quietly, he replied. I had to make sure you understood your place. The lights above flickered, once, then steadied. Claire's hand moved slowly, toward her pocket. The small phone inside buzzed softly. Message sent. 10 minutes ago. She prayed it went through. She prayed someone was watching. Why do this? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. I never wanted anything from you. He laughed. Cruel. But you carry something that belongs to me. He circled her like a predator, each step deliberate, echoing in her bones. You thought you could walk into my office with that smile. And a secret? Claire turned sharply, face flushed with heat, hands clenched at her sides. It is not your child. Not like this. He stopped behind her, close enough to feel the heat of his breath on her neck. But it will be, he whispered. Because you owe me, Claire. Lightning lit the room for a split second. The woman by the window finally moved, stepping forward, revealing her face. Claire's heart stopped. She knew her. Once. Long ago. She was the CEO's personal assistant. She vanished 2 years ago. No one knew why. Now she stood there, eyes empty, expression numb. Help me, Claire said. But the woman shook her head. Low. Hopeless. Claire backed away again, toward the window. 32 floors above the city. Rain raced down the glass like tears. The CEO's voice came again. Low. Dangerous. You can still make the right choice. Claire's hand found the letter opener on his desk. Cool metal. Smooth. Unnoticed until now. She held it tight behind her back. Her heartbeat counted seconds. Every second was a decision. A scream built in her chest. But she held it. Silent. The cake sat between them. Untouched. Red glaze gleaming like blood. And behind her the city waited. Waiting to see if she would jump. Or fight. Claire's fingers curled tighter around the letter opener. It bit into her palm, sharp and real. The only real thing in a room built on lies. The CEO watched her. No fear in his eyes. Only control. Total, terrifying control. You are not a threat, he said calmly. You are a detail to erase. She stepped sideways. Low. Measured. Her eyes never leaving his. The assistant mirrored her move, blocking the path to the door. Claire felt the air shift. Like a string pulled too tight. You never loved me, she said. He tilted his head slightly. Loved you. His smile returned. Colder now. I do not even remember you. The words landed like a slap. But they gave her fire. That fire lit her spine. Held her upright. You will remember this, she said. In one sudden motion, she flung the cake box forward. It smashed into the CEO's chest. Cream exploded across his suit. Gold flakes clung to his jaw. He recoiled, startled. Claire lunged. Letter opener raised. He grabbed her wrist mid-air. Stronger than she expected. But she twisted. Used her weight. Pen shot through her shoulder. Metal met skin. A shallow cut. Enough. He shoved her backward. She stumbled. Crashed into the assistant. Both women fell to the floor. The assistant hissed, grabbing Sylvia's arm. But this time, Claire saw something new in her eyes. A flicker. Of pain. Of memory. Of freedom long forgotten. Claire whispered, help me. Their hands locked. The assistant hesitated. Just for a heartbeat. TTN. She turned. And kicked the CEO in the knee. Hard. He dropped, roaring in pain. Claire scrambled up. Blood smeared the carpet. Alarms began to blare. Red lights flashed overhead. She had triggered them. The emergency signal on her phone. Backup was coming. But time was thin. And the CEO was racing. Fury in every movement. He reached for something in the DW. Something black, heavy. Claire froze. The assistant shouted, run. But Claire did not move. Not yet. Not until she saw what was in his hand. The object came into view. Not a gun. A document. It. Sealed. Marked with her name. Claire stared. Confused. Terrified. What is that? She demanded.
He wiped the blood from his face and smiled. Your future, he said. Signed, sealed, owned. The papers trembled in his hand. And Claire felt something inside her snap. She stepped forward. Past the fear. Past the pain. Voice steady now. I never signed anything. He held the document out. Pages fluttered from the fan above. He tapped the first page with a crimson-stained finger. Look closer. She did. And her heart dropped. There was her signature. Perfect. Precise. From a day she could not remember. A day she had trusted him. You forged this. No, he said. You gave it willingly. You just do not remember. A whisper tickled her mind. Flashes. Why? Laughter. Darkness. Then waking up sick. Alone. She staggered back. The assistant grabbed her shoulder. Hey, she said urgently. He has done it before. How many? Claire asked. The woman looked away. Her silence was the answer. The CEO wrote fully now. Thought. Unchecked. Aching in his crumbling castle. You think anyone will believe you, he said. His voice was I. And even if they do, you are mine. No, Claire said. Her voice no longer trembled. Not anymore. From the hall, footsteps echoed. Fast. Heavy. Security. Real this time. Not his men. Someone had answered her alert. CEO moved to the desk drawer again. Too fast. Claire acted on instinct. She slammed the heavy glass cake stand into his arm. A sickening crack. He screamed. Drop the dead contents. No gun. A syringe. Phone. Claire stared at it. Then him. And everything snapped into pages. What were you going to do to me? His mouth twitched. But he did not speak. The door burst open. Men in black poured in. Guns raised. Voices loud. Hands where we can see them. The assistant stepped back. Claire dropped the letter opener. It clattered on the floor. She raised her hands slowly. And exhaled. First time in weeks, she felt air in her lungs.
Real air. The CEO dropped to his knees. Still smiling. Blood dripping from his hand. You will not keep it, he said. Eyes locked on her stomach. That child will destroy you. Claire looked down. Placed both hands on her belly. Then met his gaze. No, she said. It will save me. But in her heart, she knew the story was far from over. The agents swarmed him. He did not resist. Did not flinch. Just kept smiling. Like a man who knew something they did not. Claire stepped back as they cuffed him. She watched his face carefully. Every twitch. Every breath. But he gave nothing away. Only that chilling, quiet confidence. The kind that haunted. The assistant stood beside her, trembling. I never thought anyone would stop him, she whispered. Claire looked at her. Eyes rimmed red. But focused. You helped me. You helped yourself, the woman replied. Her lips curled into the smallest smile. He did not see you coming. The agents led the CEO past them. He turned his head just slightly. Enough to say one last thing. To carve it into her memory. They will come for it. Claire blinked. What do you mean? But he was already gone. Down the hall. Out of sight. The doors slammed shut behind him. The room felt heavier now. Like the shadows had not left with him. One of the agents approached her. Tall, broad eyes serious. Ma'am, he said. We will need your statement. She nodded. Voice tight. Give me a moment. She walked slowly to the window. Placed a hand on the cool glass. The rain had stopped. But the sky was still heavy. Clouds bruised and swollen with weight. Far below the city moved on. Unaware. Unconcerned. She felt movement beside her. The assistant stood there silent. Staring out with her. Then softly said. He had files. On everyone. On you too. Claire turned. What kind of files? Medical. Legal. Personal. Everything. Her skin prickled. Where? The woman hesitated. He called it the vault. And it is not here. Claire felt her stomach tighten. The child inside her kicked, sudden and sharp. She gasped softly. The woman caught her arm. Are you all right? Claire nodded. But her eyes were fixed forward. Not on the skyline. On something far beyond it. She whispered. Then we are not safe yet. The agent behind her frowned. Safe from who? Claire turned to face him. Her voice was calm now. But her heart was not. From the people who protected him. And in that moment she knew. This was no longer about a cake. Or a child. It was about power. Secrets. And a war she had just stepped into. One she would have to win. For her. And for the life growing inside her. The agent's eyes narrowed. What people? Claire glanced at the assistant. Their silence answered the question. The agent tapped his earpiece, murmured something low. Then he nodded once. We will take you both somewhere secure. But Claire did not move. She looked at the broken cake stand. The smashed box. The blood streaked across the carpet. All of it felt surreal. Like a crime scene from someone else's life. Except this time she was the survivor. She touched her stomach again. The child moved. Alive. Real. And now, part of something much larger. The assistant stepped closer. I know where he kept the backups, she said. Her voice was firm now. Clear. Claire turned slowly. Tell me everything. The woman hesitated. Then nodded. There is a private estate. Outside the city. Remote. Guarded. Claire's breath caught. You have been there. Once. Her voice cracked. And I barely got out. The agent listened. Silent but alert. He reached for his tablet, scrolling rapidly. I think I know the place. There are surveillance dead zones near Ridge Hollow. That is it, the assistant said quickly. Claire's heart thudded. What is inside? The woman looked her dead in the eyes. Everything. Documents. Videos. Names. He paused. Then added. And plans. Claire felt a chill crawl up her spine. What kind of plans? The woman opened her mouth. Then stopped. Her eyes flicked to the window. Then the hallway. Then back. She leaned in close. Too close. Whispered just 2 words. The nursery. Claire's knees nearly buckled. Her breath went shallow. The agent stepped forward quickly. What does that mean? But neither of them answered. Because suddenly, the fire alarm blared. Lights flashed red. A voice echoed overhead. Security breach. East stairwell. Unauthorized entry. The agent's hand flew to his weapon. Stay behind me. Claire's blood turned to ice. Not again. Not now. She looked at the assistant. Saw the fear return. But also something else. Determination. We need to go, the woman said. Claire nodded once. Gripped her phone. Clutched her stomach. And ran. Toward the elevator. Toward the stairwell. Toward the vault. Because if the nursery was real, then her baby was not just a threat. It was a target. They reached the stairwell. Heavy metal door. Smeared with handprints. Claire hesitated only a second. Then shoved it open. Dim lights buzzed overhead. The walls smelled of bleach and steel. Boots echoed above. Someone was coming down. Rest. The agent turned, drew his sidearm. Go down. Now. Claire gripped the railing. Began descending. The assistant followed, breathing sharp. Floor after floor blurred past. Her legs ached. Stomach tight. But she could not stop. Behind them the sound of gunfire. One shot. Then silence. She did not look back. Could not. The assistant's hand gripped hers. This way, there's a service tunnel below. How do you know that? Claire asked. The woman's face was pale. But her eyes were hard. Because I built the exit. They reached the bottom floor. Concrete walls. Bare pipes. A steel hatch in the wall. The assistant yanked it open. A dark passage yawned before them. Cold air rushed out. Claire's skin prickled. Where does it lead? To the old sub-basement, she said. And then to freedom. Claire crawled in first. The tunnel was narrow. Claustrophobic. Each movement scraped her elbows and knees. But she kept going. The child inside her kicked again. Stronger this time. She whispered softly. Hold on. Just a little longer. Behind her, the assistant crawled fast. Then came a sound, echoing from above. A step. Running. Then a voice, cold and familiar. CO. But that was impossible. He had been arrested. Claire stopped crawling. Heart hammering. She turned her head. Listen. The voice came again. Deeper now. Distorted through the walls. Claire. You cannot hide forever. She gasped. How is he here? The assistant froze. Her voice low. Shaking. That was not him. Claire's pulse thudded in her ears. What do you mean? The woman stared into the dark behind them. That voice. It is a recording. Programmed to find you. Claire's breath caught. You mean? The assistant nodded. It is not just men looking for you now. It is the system. Claire swallowed hard. The baby kicked again. Harder. Like it knew. Like it understood. And deep in the tunnel, something blinked. Red light. Watching, Claire froze. The red light pulsed once. Then again. A silent heartbeat in the dark. The assistant pulled her back. We have to go. Now. Claire scrambled forward. Her hands scraped raw against the tunnel floor. The walls felt closer. Like they were pressing in. She glanced back. The light was moving. Following them. No footsteps. No sound. Just that eerie glow. The assistant yanked a panel open. A tight grate led to a narrow shaft. She motioned Claire through. Hurry! Claire squeezed into the gap. The air turned colder. Electric. She slid down a metal chute. Landed hard in a dark room. The assistant dropped beside her. Then slammed a lever. The hatch above them sealed shut. The red light vanished. Now. Claire sat up slowly. Her breath caught in her throat. The room was filled with shelves. Rows upon rows. Boxes. Files. Labeled in thick black ink. Each one stamped with an insignia she had never seen. Crescent. Inside it. Cradle. The assistant stood, brushing dust from her hands. This is it. Claire rose to her feet. The air smelled of old paper and oil. She turned slowly. Her name was on a box. Claire Elston. Date. 16 months ago. Before the party. Before the test. Before everything. Her fingers shook as she opened it. Inside. Photos. Medical reports. Surveillance stills. One image made her gasp. It was her. Sleeping. Hooked to wires. A doctor beside her. Smiling. Not the CEO. Someone else. Younger. Wearing gloves. Syringe in hand. The assistant leaned over. That is Dr. Hovel. He created the program. Claire stared at the photo. Her voice barely audible. What program? The woman hesitated. Then whispered. Project Heirloom. Claire's chest tightened. What is it? The assistant looked her dead in the eyes. You are not the only one, Claire. There are others. And they were never meant to survive. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Somewhere above them, a door creaked open. And then, a voice echoed down the shaft. Mechanical. Subject located. Initiating extraction protocol. Claire backed away. The baby shifted again. Dark. Urgent. Like it felt the danger too. The assistant grabbed her arm. We need to burn this place. All of it. Claire hesitated. Then nodded. Because now she understood. This was not just about escape. It was about erasing the proof. Before they erased her, Claire scanned the room. Papers. Wires coiled like snakes. A metal cabinet marked asterisk, incineration protocols. Asterisk. She ripped it open. Inside, a fuel canister. 3 emergency flares. A sealed envelope with the symbol again. She threw it aside. The assistant grabbed the fuel. Started pouring it across the floor. Over the files. Boxes. Photos. Claire's own image soaked in gasoline. The sting hit her nose. Her eyes watered. But she did not blink. Not anymore. I will light it, she said. The assistant looked at her. You sure? Claire nodded. If we leave it behind, someone else finds it. And someone else becomes me. The flare hissed in her hand. She struck it. A violent burst of red. She dropped it to the floor. Flames leapt. Quick. Hungry. The fire danced across the boxes, igniting name after name. All the evidence. All the pain. Burning to ash. They turned and ran. Back through the tunnel. Smoke chasing them. Heat rising. They crawled, coughed, staggered. Until daylight broke ahead. Service grate. Busty. The assistant slammed her shoulder into it. Once. It creaked open. And they fell out onto wet grass. Inside. At last. Claire rolled onto her back. Staring at the sky. It was no longer gray. Blue. Open. Alive. The assistant lay beside her. Covered in soot. Breathing hard. Neither of them spoke. Not for a long moment. A low rumble. Below them. Deep muffled boom. The vault collapsing. Erased. Claire closed her eyes. Tears mixed with smoke on her face. It was done. Or so she thought. Until a car pulled up on the dirt road nearby. Black. Unmarked. The engine idled. The window rolled down. Inside. Woman. Sharp eyes. Silver hair. Holding a tablet. She spoke without looking at them. You just made yourself a very powerful enemy. Claire sat up slowly. Who are you? The woman turned her head. Smiled like a wolf. I am the one cleaning up your mess. And I need you both to get in. Claire hesitated. But the assistant was already rising. Staring at the woman like she knew her. Feared her.
Trusted her. Claire stood. Fingers twitching over her belly. One last look at the smoke in the trees. And here she ends. She stepped into the car. Because some fires burn out. But some only begin. The door shut behind her with a delta. The car smelled like leather and ozone. Cool air hummed from hidden vents. Claire sat stiffly. The baby shifted, sensing her tension. The assistant slid in beside her. Silent. Still staring ahead. The silver-haired woman tapped her tablet. Images flickered across the screen. Satellite map. Thermal readings. A burning red dot marked the wall. Gone. Impressive, she said. But reckless. Claire turned toward her. I did what I had to do. The woman smirked. That is exactly what they say. Claire narrowed her eyes. Who are you working for? The woman locked eyes with her. I am not working for anyone anymore. I am cleaning up what they left behind. Sue's voice dropped. Project Heirloom. The woman's expression hardened. Why yes. But the name changed. The goals evolved. She paused. Glanced at Sue's stomach. Until it became you. Sue's breath caught. UKNW. I knew before you were even chosen, the woman said. They monitored you for years. Temperament. Fertility. Memory resilience. Sue's voice trembled. You could have stopped them. I tried, she said. Her voice was colder now. And they bury me for it. The car turned sharply. Tires humming on wet pavement. Skyscrapers gave way to forested hills. Claire leaned forward. Where are you taking us? The woman turned the tablet toward her. Facility. Gray. Remote. High walls. Barbed wire. No one will find you here. Not unless you want them to. Claire looked to the assistant. Her lips pressed tight. Her eyes unreadable. She said nothing. Claire stared at the screen again. Then basically to the woman. I am not hiding. The woman's brow rose. You burned their cow. You are pregnant with an untraceable egg. And you think you still have a choice. Sue's voice was I know I do. The woman leaned closer. Her voice a whisper now. Then you need to know something else. She tapped the tablet again. A new image appeared. Grainy. Surveillance footage. A child. Sitting in a sterile room. Dark eyes. Same curse as Claire. Maybe 3 years old. Sue's mouth fell open. Her heart stopped. Dad. The woman nodded. POTOTYP Alpha. Born from another surrogate. IACD in isolation. Sue's voice cracked. You said I was the first. You are the first to escape. Claire stared at the screen. The child blinked, tilted its head, as if it knew her. She pressed a hand to her stomach. 2 heartbeats inside her now. And a third one. Locked away in a room she had never seen. The woman leaned back. You want to end this? Then you are not done yet. Claire clenched her fists, eyes burning. No, she said. I am just getting started. The car came to a stop. The engine's hum cut out, leaving an eerie silence. Claire sat still, every muscle tense. 2 minutes eyes were locked on her, measuring. As the door opened, a gust of cold air blew in, carrying the scent of pine and wet earth. The facility loomed ahead, massive, imposing. A fortress hidden in plain sight. Get out, the woman said. Claire hesitated only a moment before stepping off the car. Her feet crunched on the gravel as she moved toward the gates. Her heart hammering in her chest. Behind her, the assistant followed. A shadow, silent and unblinking. The silver-haired woman led them forward, her heels clicking on the hard ground. Inside the gates, security was tight. Guard towers loomed overhead, their lights sweeping across the perimeter. But the woman WSNT stopped. She was expected. They passed through a series of locked doors, each one heavier than the last. Finally they arrived at a stark white room, cold, sterile, and silent. A table in the center, vials, syringes, and papers scattered across it. The woman motioned for Claire to sit. Suarez's throat tightened, but she begged. The woman dropped a thick folder onto the table. It landed with a dull thud, heavy and final. This, she said, is everything. Claire opened it. Inside were more pictures, more names, more files with redacted sections. But one thing stood out. First page had a name. Her name, along with several others. But beneath it, a list of dates. Dates that made her stomach churn. This, the woman said softly, is the timeline. Claire stared at the dates. Each one marked a test, a trial, a failure. Until finally, at the end, her name appeared again. Marked successful.
She leaned back in the chair, shock running through her veins. You were chosen because you were the last one left. The others. The woman's voice was hollow. Disposed of. Claire's hands shook as she flipped through the file. One last image. A figure in a lab coat, standing beside a crib. And inside the crib a child, her child. No, not her child, but the same child. The one in the surveillance footage. Claire's breath caught. No, she whispered. The woman's eyes were cold. You see now. She paused, as if savoring the moment. You were never the first. You were always meant to be the last. Claire's vision blurred. Her head spun. Her heartbeat deafened her. You will never escape this, the woman added. There is nowhere to run. Not anymore. Claire's hand trembled. But she gripped the folder tighter. Not defeated. Not yet. We'll see about that. The woman smiled, her expression almost fond. But it was empty. Like a predator toying with its prey. Claire stood shakily but resolute. I won't be the last. Not if I can help it. The woman's smile faltered. But it was already too late. Claire knew what she had to do. The time to hide was over. The war was just beginning. The woman's expression flickered, a brief flash of uncertainty crossing her face. But Claire didn't wait for her to react. She turned on her heel, ignoring the thudding pain in her chest. The room felt suffocating now, the walls pressing in. She reached for the door handle, but the woman's voice stopped her. You think you can just walk out? Claire didn't respond. She didn't have to. Her eyes were locked on the door. Her heart raced as she swung it open. But before she could step through, 2 guards appeared in the hallway. Their eyes were cold. Really. They weren't just here to stop her. They were here to make sure she never left. The woman's voice was calm behind her. You're out of your depth, Claire. I'm not out of anything, Claire shot back, her voice sharp. She glanced at the assistant, who was already moving towards the guards. Focused. With a fluid motion, the assistant reached into her coat and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button. A sharp hum filled the air. The guards stumbled, disoriented by the signal. The woman's eyes widened. You didn't. But the assistant was already in motion. She lunged at the first guard, taking him down with practiced ease. Claire's heart thudded in her chest. She grabbed the folder from the table, holding it tight. We don't have much time, the assistant muttered, her breath coming in sharp gasps. Claire nodded, turning back to the door. The woman didn't move. She didn't have to. Her presence alone seemed to weigh down the room. Claire's eyes flicked to the hallway. She was already thinking 3 steps ahead. They could make it out. They just needed to stay ahead. We can't trust anyone here, the assistant said, urgency in her voice. I know, Claire whispered. But something shifted in the air. Low hum. A flicker of movement from the corner of her vision. And then, the floor beneath them trembled. Claire's eyes snapped up. The ceiling lights flickered. The walls groaned under an unseen pressure. And the woman's smile. It was not a smile anymore. It was something much darker. We're locked in, the woman said softly. You can try to run, but it won't matter. This place is fortified. You won't escape. Claire's pulse surged in her throat. The door slammed shut behind her. Heavy. Final. A distant, mechanical noise echoed through the walls. Her heart raced. Her mind spun. Where's the exit? She demanded, turning toward the assistant. But the assistant's face had gone pale. Her eyes wide with terror. Look up. Claire's gaze shot to the ceiling. Hatch was opening. A metal arm descended. A sleek silver drone with glowing red lights. It was a hunter. Designed for one purpose. To track them. To trap them. Claire's breath caught in her throat. They were not just locked in. They were being hunted. The woman's voice echoed through the room again, smooth, but laced with something darker. You're too late. Claire looked back at the assistant, panic rising. What do we do now? But the assistant's eyes had changed. They were no longer filled with fear. They were filled with something else. Something Claire hadn't seen before. You need to survive, the assistant said. And I have the key to that. Her hand moved to her coat pocket. Claire's heart skipped a beat. The assistant pulled out a small silver device. Detonator. Hold on tight, the assistant whispered. The lights flickered again, and a low rumble shook the floor. And then, the world went white. The explosion rocked the entire building. Walls cracked. Glass shattered. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Claire stumbled, barely keeping her balance. The air was thick with smoke and dust, the sharp, burning scent of metal and fire filling her lungs. For a moment everything was chaos. But then, the silence. Heavy. Suffocating. The drone's red lights flickered, but its movements slowed. Claire looked around, her heart still racing. The facility was no longer just a prison. It was a ruin. Flames licked at the edges of the walls. The sound of metal groaning under pressure filled the air. The assistant stood beside her, breathing heavily, eyes locked on the smoldering wreckage. We have to move. Now. Claire didn't need to be told twice. The two of them rushed through the corridor, each step heavier than the last, the building crumbling behind them. The woman who had led them here was nowhere to be seen. Perhaps she was lost in the fire. Perhaps she was watching from the shadows. But it didn't matter anymore. They reached the exit, a hidden door at the far end of the hallway. The assistant pulled it open with a force that made Claire wince. They burst out into the night, the fresh air filling their lungs like a long-forgotten memory. The stars above were dimmed by the smoke, but they were free. Least for now. Claire's hand instinctively went to her stomach. The child inside her stirred. There would be time to heal. But not yet. The road ahead was long, uncertain. And there were still shadows in the distance. But as Claire looked up at the sky, the burning remnants of the facility fading behind them, she knew one thing for sure. She was done hiding. No more running. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about reclaiming her future. Her child's future. And no one, not even them, was going to take that from her. As the night swallowed them whole, Claire took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the world shift. For the first time in a long while, she felt a flicker of hope. The battle had begun. And she was ready.